Good evening. You're watching the Digital Age, and I'm James Goodale. Who won the debate this week? Did Obama win it, or did McCain win it? After every debate, Obama's ratings have gone up. So there's a probability by that standard he won it again, even though McCain may be ahead on points. But if Obama keeps winning, in some sense of the word winning, and his points are going up, but why aren't they going up to the margin they should be? Like, he should have a 20-point lead, most people think, by this time. Is it because the viral emails calling him a Muslim on the net are cutting back the web? Here to discuss those questions with us tonight is Richard Cohen, columnist for the Washington Post. Thanks for coming by.
Oh, good to be here.
All right, so here's the drill. Let's look at last debate through this prism. I've now learned that debates aren't debates in the usual sense, although they may be in some sense. But they certainly are judged on the basis of the way the candidate presents oneself. And I've been so curious about the way John McCain is presenting himself in these debates, and I want to ask you if we can go back a little bit and then get up to this debate in the end, see who won. But in the first debate, I still can't get a satisfactory answer to this question, which is, why did McCain debate Obama without ever looking in his eye? What was going through McCain's mind?
Well, what we were told is that McCain's handlers, his consultants, told him not to look at Obama because if he looked at Obama, he would become furious and he'd lose his temper. And this is a guy who he doesn't like Obama. He doesn't respect Obama. He doesn't think Obama has earned the right to be opposite John McCain in these debates. And if you look at John McCain's career, you can see why he thinks the way he does. I mean, he's been around a very long time. Member of the House, member of the Senate forever, Navy pilot, POW, that sort of stuff. And his family has been in public service, as he sees it now, for 4 or 5 generations. And he said in the latest debate, the McCains have been in public service in this country for 200-something years, or whatever the figure. So he has a kind of, I wouldn't say contempt for Obama, but he doesn't think of him as a worthy adversary. And what they wanted to make sure was that John McCain did not express that in some way when he looked at Obama. So the question was, so they made him look away.
But that expresses the same subject. Now, I frankly thought that John McCain won that debate on points, but once you discounted his presentation, maybe he didn't, quote, win the whole thing. And the reason I thought he may not have won the whole thing was it's awfully rude. I mean, just in sort of simple man on the street terms when you're talking to somebody, not to look him in the eye. I mean, you can interpret it the way the handlers did, which surprises me because I hadn't heard that. But you also interpret it as a white man not thinking a black man is important enough to look him in the eye. The more I think about it, the worse it gets.
Well, it's the problem with McCain. McCain is not comfortable in that kind of format. McCain is not comfortable not being John McCain. The John McCain that the press corps really liked was the John McCain in the back of the bus who was relaxing, who was just kidding around, and he was a wonderful person. Erudite, learned, I mean, very well read, loved movies, fun to talk to, and a real American hero. And when he got in a town hall audience, not with an adversary, but just by himself, what you saw was when he talked about public service, when he talked about his own career, you saw young kids react to him. I mean, sort of like, you saw people straighten up and say, you could see this leadership quality in him, and I liked him for that reason.
Well, you liked him so much, people thought you liked him too much.
Well, it was always a sexual thing with me. but maybe I didn't like him too much. I always appreciated who he was, and I never agreed with him on many of the major issues, and I always said that. But I always thought he had this quality to lead the country if he could communicate that quality on television in these forums, but he can't do it.
Well, let's get to the second debate. I'm now looking at his physical presentation, because I'm surprised with it, because my opinion of McCain would be the same as the one you just described, and I'm seeing someone else up there, and I don't know how to evaluate it. And in the second debate, which was supposed to be his forum, but of course it really isn't, because he had an opponent, as you just pointed out, when Obama was speaking, the camera caught him walking, zigzagging all over the damn platform. And for someone who's over 70, you can't expect that his knees are going to be so great. So you not only get him sort of like a drunken sailor, but he's bow-legged. Now, what in God's name was he doing then? Why didn't he just sit the way Obama did on the stool?
Look, John McCain's problem is he's John McCain. And he's 72 years old, and the visuals are striking. And you look at Obama. Obama's a young, good-looking guy, fully in possession of his faculties, which means he is great at what he does, and he knows he's great at what he does. He is a consummate politician in that respect. John McCain looks bad. He not only is 72 years old, he looks older than 72, and he's got this sort of disfigured face now because.
Why is that disfigured?
Well, because he's had melanomas, and.
Well, the melanomas disfigured his face.
Well, they had to go deep.
Oh, I see.
So they've tried to do reconstructive surgery, and he looks a little. He doesn't look the way he once did. So he doesn't visually. He's not a compelling figure anymore, and he looks bad. I think the American people look at him and say, "That's not the president." They look at Obama and said, that guy could be president. He's relaxed, he's confident, he's articulate, he's smart. You know, we can put our future in his hands with a certain amount of confidence that he will be a good manager. And you look at John McCain and you say, this guy is not comfortable being John McCain because he's not in those situations. He wants to be somebody else. He's afraid of his temper. He's afraid he's going to lose his temper, which means he's always giving you that kind of show business smile, which doesn't work. It looks more like a grimace. He's trying to hold back. He knows what he really wants to do is just take a shot at Barack Obama, but he can't do that. So he's extremely uncomfortable being the John McCain that he needs to be in these debates.
Well,
and it hasn't worked.
I'm not as much a student apparently as I should be of John McCain, but now we get to the present debate last week, and this last week. He surprised me again. I mean, I thought it was a good debate for him, generally speaking, and I thought he probably won on points. But, you know, I get up the next morning, and I have this sense of this guy who strikes me as a little different than what I thought about John McCain, particularly losing his temper, which he damn near did when they talked about Bill Ayers. Is that the gentleman's name? I thought, not fair to a presentation about the debate, but I thought that might have been his weakest moment. Is his temper always been this? Well, what do you think about that? I'm giving you my view.
Well,
what do you think?
He's got a reputation as a hothead. He's always had this reputation.
Really?
There are members of the Senate who will tell you that, you know, he can lose his temper very quickly and get furious and berate you. It could be ugly, and then 2 minutes later it's all over. But that's what you saw a little bit of last night. He gets angry, and the anger came through, and that was very bad for him. You could say he won on points. You don't win on points in a debate, I don't think. You win or lose by your appearance and your conduct, and are the American people comfortable with you? They weren't comfortable with John McCain last night. I compared John McCain last night to one of these 1940s or 1950 characters in a prize-fighting movie. He shouldn't have had this fight. He's too old for it. He didn't look. He was in with an opponent who was just rope-a-doping him. You know, moving back, tiring him out, getting him angry, frustrating him, and McCain fell into the trap. I thought it was a very poor performance for John McCain. I think if you read the transcript, you say, oh, he made sense there, he made sense there, he made sense. People don't read the transcript. They're looking at the whole picture. This was not a pretty picture.
Okay, well, let's put that aside for a moment and go to the place where you think is not particularly relevant, points. I thought he did pretty well just as a debate person. I thought it was his best debate. Did you not agree?
I did think it was his best debate. I thought he did very well in certain areas. I thought he made some. I think he went a little overboard with Joe the Plumber, you know, the whole thing. And, you know, I don't know about most people. I don't have a lot of sympathy for plumbers to begin with. They never can get them on the phone. So, right.
And they're expensive.
And they're expensive, right. So, yeah, he did a couple of good things on the debate. And I thought Obama had a couple of weak moments. And, you know, I would have liked Obama to say what he really thought about Sarah Palin. I mean, I think that's the nomination of Sarah Palin is a tragedy. It's a travesty. I think it's probably the most irresponsible thing a major politician has done in my lifetime. I can't come up with anything that comes close to it. But Obama didn't say that. He just said, it's up to the American people. He was the cool guy. He's never emotional. He's phlegmatic. It's hard to say, when looking at him, what he believes in, what's passion for him, why he's in the race. He's very good at what he does, but you'd like a little bit more passion. You'd like a little bit more sense of humor, too. They can laugh at some of this thing. He is what he is. And in this case, he is not John McCain, and that meant look, as long as Obama didn't lose, McCain couldn't win.
So
and he didn't
you
lose.
think that's the bottom line? He didn't lose?
Yeah, he didn't lose, and McCain did. McCain looked bad. He just looked bad.
You don't buy the Joe Plummer stuff. As a campaign consultant, when the candidate turns to the camera and he says, Joe Plummer, da-da-da-da-da, you don't think that works?
Look, he didn't move the needle. What happened in that debate last night is that you could see that the American people are slowly coming to a conclusion. They have made up their minds about these two guys. They may not be enthusiastic, a lot of them, because Obama's new, inexperienced, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they have decided by 10 or 9 or 8 points that they're going to go for Obama, and that needle didn't move last night. No minds were changed as a result of the debate. They came in with a view, and they stayed with that view. Had McCain been able to somehow provoke Obama into doing or saying something stupid, which is something nobody's been able to do since New Hampshire, this guy is really good at what he does, then maybe the needle would have moved, but it didn't.
Well, if he's so far ahead, or he should be if he's ahead, I meant to say he should be really far ahead. Generally speaking, the consensus would be, maybe it's 10, but maybe it's less. Karl Rove says it's less, but it could be 20, considering everything. So the question I want to discuss with you now is, why is that so? And is it because people think he's a Muslim? And before we get into the discussion, I want to read what's up on the screen now, the viral emails that have been going around, okay? Here's the one that has been circulating. I have felt for some time now that Obama is the one person that frightens me. I believe the Bible has warned us a man will come from the East that will be charismatic in nature and have proposed solutions for all our problems, and his rhetoric will attract many supporters. When will our pathetic nation quit turning their back on God and understand that this man is a Muslim, first, last, and always, and we are at war with the Muslim nation, whether our bleeding heart, secular, liberal friends believe it or not. The man fits every description from the Bible of the Antichrist. If you do not ever forward anything else, please forward this to all your contacts. So what this email says, and I want to follow it up with a Sarah Silverman piece, is that there are a lot of people who are afraid of Obama. So let's take a look at the Silverman piece.
You know why your grandparents don't like Barack Obama? Because his name sounds scary. It sounds Muslim, which he's obviously not. Yes, Barack Hussein Obama. It's a super name. But you'd think that somebody named Manischewitz Guberman might understand that.
So here's the question. Why are people afraid of Barack Obama? Let me tell you a story. Several months ago, I was at a party, and a wife of a well-known political consultant came up to me and said, I'm scared of Barack Obama. I said, you're scared? Yes, I'm scared, and my parents, who are Jewish, who live in Miami, they're scared too. Why are people scared of Obama?
Well, I think one is, I don't think there are that many people around now that are scared of Obama. I think the people they see on TV all the time, the guy they see on TV, especially in the debates, is not a scary person. He's very comfortable in his own skin. He's quite moderate. He doesn't say anything that upset anybody. So I think he's helped abate that. Secondly, knowledge of him has helped abate them. He was new on the scene. He's been in the Senate about 2 years, and he has this kind of strange name, and he's black. And we're not used to presidential candidates being black and having strange names, so it's taken time to become accustomed to. There are some people out there, clearly, who believe he's a Muslim, and others who are frightened of him for one reason or another. But I think those numbers are diminishing, and I think that these emails, I get them all the time.
You get them all the time?
Oh, sure.
Really, from whom? You don't know.
God knows. I mean,
You get that he's a Muslim?
yeah, sure. I mean, I've been getting them, for over a year and a half now. But you at first you pay attention to them, then you discount them, and I don't think people are really paying. The people who are inclined to believe that he is a Muslim, or that he's dangerous, or that America shouldn't have a black president, or something of that sort, are going to believe that. But I think that's a very small minority of the American population. I think a lot of other people have qualms about Obama because he's relatively young and he is inexperienced. You can't change. Those are the facts. He is young and he is inexperienced. It's as simple as that. McCain is old and extremely experienced. So that there is a contrast there. And if that's what you're worried about, okay. I find that Sarah Silverman, besides the fact that it was cosmically ineffective, didn't do a thing, right?
Well, we're talking about it.
Well, I know we're talking about it because we're desperate. But I mean, it's also offensive. I mean, who is she?
Offensive, really?
Sure. Who is she talking to? Idiots? I mean, what? Wait, say Obama, and then she uses obscene language to. I mean, who is she? If she was talking to my mother, and my mother is 96 years old.
Does she live in Florida?
Well, she used to live in Florida. Now she lives in Massachusetts.
Well, what does she think about Obama?
She loves Obama. Okay. She's going to vote for Obama twice. But you get to vote twice if you're over 90. So, but I mean, who is she talking to? Idiots? I mean, these are people who read the newspaper and know what's going on. They're entitled to their views, and she makes it sound like if you don't want to vote for Obama, then you're a prejudiced, adult, senile, old Jew. No.
But I still, if I can come back to the question, I'm trying to look at my own experience. John Kennedy was young, inexperienced. I certainly wasn't afraid of him. General Powell was a possible presidential candidate. I never thought of being afraid of him. Do you think if Powell were running, people would be afraid of him?
Well, Powell Powell to most people is just sort of like a cardboard figure. I mean, he's never been filled out because he's never run. So he's the guy that he's always wanted to be in general. He gives a great speech. He looked great in the uniform. Listen, he's a terrific guy. I know him personally. I like him a lot. He's very smart. He's very qualified. I would have wanted him to run, but he didn't. He never had it in him. John Kennedy scared a lot of people.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah, because of his religion.
Really?
Yeah. You go back and look at those figures, you will see Republican districts in America that vote, Democratic districts rather, in America that traditionally voted Democratic districts that went Republican because of the anti-Catholic bias. And you will see other districts that went for Kennedy because they were Catholic districts. There was a great deal of voting along religious lines simply because John Kennedy was the second person to run for a major office. First was Al Smith as a Catholic, and he won by 300,000 votes. Very narrow men, very, very narrow. And of course, it was the debate that did it for him. And it wasn't what you would say the points, because people who listened to the Kennedy-Nixon debates on the radio thought Nixon did well. When they saw it on TV, they saw a guy they didn't like, Nixon.
So it's in part because Obama's not thought to be a Christian. Is that what scares people?
I don't think there are that many people who believe he's not a Christian anymore. I think at first there may have been people who wondered about him because he's got this exotic name and this exotic background. But I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't be critical of him for sitting in that church in Chicago and listening to the minister, and at the same time say he's not a Christian. He's clearly a Christian. He pronounces his faith over and over and over again. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, he makes too much of it. I don't want to know so much about somebody's religion because I don't, this is an individual matter and that's it. But he's clearly a Christian. I think most people understand that he's a Christian. The people who don't believe he's a Christian will never believe it. They have some sort of either ideological or emotional, I don't know how, commitment to this bigotry, and they're going to hold on to it.
Before we get into the impact the internet's having on the margin, just listening to you talking about Kennedy and talking about the other candidates, reading your columns, I have to say, I'm not sure who you like, Richard Cohen. Now we start off. You seem to like John McCain. This is the way I would say. You seem to like John McCain. You seem to like Hillary Clinton. But you were as passive about Obama as some people criticize him for his own passivity. So who do you like?
Well, you know, James, I don't like anybody.
Do you like Obama? Do you like Obama as much now as you used to like McCain?
No. And let me tell you why. First of all, let me tell you something about myself, all right? I'm not an ideologue. I started in this business as a reporter, and I still think I try to write a column that's interesting to the reader, that does not come with a biased point of view. I mean, I don't do basic reporting anymore, but I still like to approach it as if I'm trying to figure it out for myself. I don't come in for this. I wrote way back when Obama made the speech to the Democratic National Convention in 2004, right? Run, Barack, run. I thought he was a major figure. I thought he was compelling, interesting. I wanted him to run. I became very enthusiastic about Obama. I backed off a little bit. I watched the guy and I said, there are some questions here. There were questions that meant something to me when Obama's church gave Reverend Farrakhan its award as the Man of the Year or something of that sort. I forgot it. And Obama didn't say anything about it. I feel strongly that if you don't protest bigotry, then you're giving it your consent. He's a member of the church. I felt he had an obligation to say something, both as a citizen, as a church member, and particularly as a presidential candidate. He said nothing. So to this day, I wonder about where this man makes his stand and about what. He's new. He doesn't have the record that John McCain has. So John McCain. I spent a lot of time with John McCain in 2000. I've spent some time with him since. I went to Vietnam with him. I went through the Hanoi Hilton with him. I know this guy. I don't know him intimately. I know him, right? I respected him a lot. He has an incredible career and a life story. And you look at what he did in Vietnam and the suffering he went and the torture, and you say, could I have done it? I don't know. You know, you look for people, heroes are people who do things you can't do or you think you can't do. John McCain sort of fits into that category. I think he decided that he wanted to win so badly this time that he forgot who he was. He's a man who spent his career standing for certain principles, honesty, integrity in government. Then he runs a campaign that is dirty, that uses lying in advertising, and then finally he nominates Sarah Palin, who is just unqualified, should not be. I mean, the idea that he could win and become incapacitated, and she would become president of the United States scares the hell out of me.
Well, who do you like Obama better than? I mean, McCain.
Oh,
now.
I liked Obama better than Hillary Clinton.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. And I said it over and over again. I felt Hillary Clinton was. There were questions about her integrity, there were questions about her honesty, and there are no questions about Barack Obama's honesty and integrity as far as I'm concerned. There were a lot of things. I didn't want to see the Clintons back in the White House. I didn't want to go through the whole Bill Clinton thing again. That was it. I like Obama. I like him fine. I think he's, in some ways, the most remarkable, gifted politician I've seen since John Kennedy, and I just barely, I wasn't covering Kennedy.
Okay, now, so let's go to this issue of how powerful the internet is. We had Ed Rollins on a couple of weeks ago, and he said that what is keeping back Obama's margin is the internet as a communication device that's spewing out all the emails that you're getting, all the viral emails. And I would suppose, I want to ask you about it, some anti-black stuff, but let's go to the first. Do you agree with Ed Rollins that the margin is being kept back by all the crap you're getting, excuse me for saying so, on the internet in terms of the viral email and the viral email that I read?
I think it probably, like anything, it plays a factor. I mean, it plays some sort of a role, and I don't know how to measure it, but before there was internet, there were mailings. There were, push polling where you call people up and pretend you're polling and you say, do you support Barack Obama even though he's a Muslim, yes or no? And people think that's a fact. They've done this in politics for a longest time. There's always in politics a way to play dirty. So the internet is just the latest way to do it. I don't know if it's more effective than a mailing.
It's faster and
it's faster and cheaper.
And you get cheaper and you get more volume. So I think you can make an argument that.
But I don't know if the fact that it comes at you over and over again is more effective than if it comes once in the mail or once in a telephone call or whatever the case. But yeah, it's probably.
How many points?
I would say less than one.
Less than one?
Yeah, I don't think. I think if they the case for look. The case against Barack Obama for those people who are influenced by those kinds of emails are on his face. He's a black man. That's what it is.
Okay,
Now,
well,
if you want to say
all right,
that's a factor, that's a factor.
Okay, let's talk about that. How many points?
I don't think it's a major factor anymore. I think we went through, I don't know how many primary, 12, 13, 15, 16, whatever it was. The results pretty much came out the way the polls predicted. The one exception was
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
What happened there, by the way, I wonder?
I think a couple of things happened in New Hampshire. One is Barack Obama made one of his rare mistakes when he said to Hillary, "You're likable enough," in a dismissive way. People didn't know him yet. He had only won in Iowa a couple of weeks before. They didn't like that. He was dismissive. Maybe race played a factor. Black man can't talk to a white woman. I don't know. Man can't talk to a woman that way, whatever. Secondly, Hillary cried, showed that she was a human being.
Forgot about that.
Right? But that wasn't that same night.
All right, so look.
Wait, one third factor.
So we come to an end, that's all.
New Hampshireites love to stick it to the rest of the country. They're always going to vote against whatever Iowa did because that's what there is, you know. So
That's a good theory.
right.
Hey, listen, I want to thank you for coming by. And the question before the audience tonight is, who won the debate? And do you think the Internet's going to keep the margin down? The answers to those questions are?
Oh, I think Obama won the debate, and I think the internet will, you know, play a little insignificant role in the way you want it. Jim, do you know where to send the check?
How much?
You have to talk to my agent.
Thanks for coming by, Richard Cohen. And thank you for coming by. And come by next week to learn more about the digital age. For the digital age, I am James Goodale. Good night, and have a good week.